Eric here with Wasatch Heat Cable, and today we're in Huntsville, Utah, and you can see we've got this metal roof, beautiful home right over the entryway. But as most people know, metal roofs will let the snow slide right off. So we're gonna put some snow retention on here and protect everybody that comes and goes out of this beautiful home and set it up so that it's a safe place to move. So we're on the roof now, and one of the first things we want to do is set our clamps in place and mark where they need to be. Now there's a couple things that we've noticed other companies will do in this process, and some of them could be putting the clamps in wrong, putting the wrong clamps on, or not torquing them to specs. But anytime you install snow retention on any kind of roof, whether it's like this, or if it's a different standing seam profile or a corrugated, if the snow retention is not installed correctly, you could risk the damage of when the snow pushes the snow retention and it can't hold it, it rips the roof open. At that point, it's not just snow's coming down, but your roof is now damaged. So it is absolutely critical that every time you do a snow retention system or have somebody do it, make sure they're experienced. They know what they're doing and they're doing it to specs. Perfect. All right, so we got our clamps in, we've chalked our line so we can make sure everything is perfectly level and even. Now we want to tighten up these bolts and make sure that this is snug. They often have some cleats that need to go under the hem of the standing seam. And if they're not placed right, you can either damage the roof or you won't get the strength of the snow bar to hold the snow back. So now I'm going to go ahead and tighten these things down. This little donut looking ring is called a collar. This collar needs to go on the end of the snow retention bar, but it has to sit on the inside of the clamp. Let me explain why. If I don't have the collar, first of all, my snow bar can freely slide wherever it wants to. You gotta lock that snow bar in place. Clamp that thing down. Let's go ahead and do that. And it doesn't take much to tighten that thing in place, just a little bit. Okay, the snow bar won't go past that collar. When I get to the other end, I'm going to do the same thing and put a collar on the inside of the clamp, which then pins the bar in between two clamps at each end. Now it can't go that way and it can't go this way. Easy as that. We're at the end. Of course, we're going to put a collar here. We need to put a pipe on here, but notice we're kind of short. We don't want a bar hanging all the way out, so we're going to measure this out and then cut the last bar to length, customizing it. And right here, I'm going to go 49, we'll extend it past that, go 51 inches. And we're going to cut that with the Sawzall. All right, we're ready to put this last bar in. I cut it to length. It should be exactly where we need it. We're gonna slide this in. And of course, being the last bar, don't forget your collar. You wanna make sure you add that in. Slide this in. Let's go ahead and tighten this bad boy back down. So we're gonna take our collar, tighten it down. And of course, I push my bar all the way one way before I tighten that collar on, but now that bar is not going anywhere. So we're set. We cap the ends and we got our ice flags next. These go over the bar and they block any minimal amounts of ice and snow that might be on here from sliding under the bar and off onto people down below. Once you got everything in, as you noticed early in the video, I was talking about a torque setting. You got to make sure that these bolts are torqued to the specifications from the manufacturer. For these particular ones, the torque settings are a little bit high from them, but if you go that full size or that full torque setting rating, you can actually bend the bracket. And I don't want to do that because that'll compromise the actual integrity of the bracket itself. I set my torque setting at 27 pounds per 27 foot-pounds. And when I put it on there, I'm going to start torquing that in place. And if I see the bracket start bending, I have to stop because you don't want to go past that. So I'm going to back this off a little bit because I don't want to go past that point. I'm going to take this down to 25. I'm going to do the other one right here. Okay, I'm seeing the bracket and the plate is starting to bend just a little bit. I don't want it to bend, so I'm gonna stop at that point. Tightening it any more than that is not gonna get any more hold on the standing seam. It's only gonna compromise your clamp itself. So I'm even gonna back that foot-pounds off to probably 20, actually I might drop it to 22. Check it on this one, let's see where that takes us. There we go. And that looks actually right. I'm gonna stick with 22 on these. There we go. One thing to keep in mind is when you're torquing these down, you want to pay attention to the standing seam as well. Some standing seams may be able to handle a higher torque setting than others. And in this situation, I don't want to compromise the standing seam either. So 22 foot-pounds, I'm actually seeing that is a perfect setting without compromising the material of the roof or the clamp. All right, last thing we're gonna put on this bar is the end cap. It just sits on like that right there. You'll need an advanced tool to put it on, like a tape measure. Okay, we're good. All right, putting our cap on this end. Another advanced tool. There we go. It's closed off, bugs can't get in there and doesn't rust on the end. That's it. We're all done. Snow retention in, perfectly straight, set and ready for winter. If you need snow retention and you've got a problem area, call Wasatch Heat Cable.